Now, what is the reason for conditioning though? What is the basis of conditioning? Say, I like to drink, for example, right? And my wife does not want me to drink, and we have a conflict, for example, right? So, if the conflict is there, I want to continue drinking. What is the basis of my conditioning to have all these indulgences? Could be any. I'm not just saying just alcohol. Could be any indulgences. It is the attachment. My attachment to that particular object is the basis of conditioning. Obviously, for conditioning, you need an object. Without that, you don't get conditioned, right? So, you need an object or a person or a situation to get conditioned. Then your mind is conditioned. Mind has a coloring of the mind. Before, mind had no color. Now there is a X amount of color given to you. Out of all the rainbows, there is a pink color attached to that for, just for argument's sake, indulgences. The red is for this, yellow is for that. Everybody's colors are different. But that's where the interactions take place. So conflict is created by conditioning. Conditioning, the cause of condition is attachment. So attachment to any object, right, is the cause of the attachment, and attachment leads to conditioning, condition leads to conflict in life. And conflict generates the stress, and conflict generates the instability of the mind and robs you of the samta. And this is why I'm coming to that, right? So now, what is an attachment? Attachment means any object or a person or a situation that you will feel sad if you don't have it.
Okay, if you want it, you don't get it.
Right,
then,
yeah.
Okay.
He gives an example of one guy comes to him, J.J. Krishnamurti, and asks him, he says, he was a very great social worker. And it's a great thing to do. He has been doing social work for 35 years without asking for anything in return, this and that and all that. So, he says, you may be conditioned by doing a social work. You could be conditioned by even tendency to realize God. You could be conditioned, you could be a desire, you could turn it into a desire, that I have desire to reach samadhi. Again, something that will be taken away out of your life, would you feel sad? So the guy says, yes, if you take this social work from me, I'll feel sad. He says, then you're attached to the social work even. It doesn't have to be...
You could be attached to good things.
Good thing also.
Okay.
He says, that's why Rajni says, whether you pad chaho or Paramatma chaho.
Yeah.
Chahat hi buri hai. Chahat itself is wrong. Because chahat, what happens is...
You want something.
You want something. You're losing your steady state. Your steady state, which was there, unconditioned mind, nistarang mind, where there are no tarangs on the lake, that beautiful serene lake, the stability of that serenity, that peacefulness is gone when you want something. So that dhyan is the dharma. The rest is all dharmikta. All the surrounding world is all these objects and peoples and situations that's grabbing your mind, and we think we're going to get something out of that. We never do. Real Chand.
Without chahat or desire, how can you survive in life? Just to keep going, you should have some kind of...
It will never happen.
Chahat or desire.
Chahat is generated response in response to the outside objects. Okay, I want this, right? Or I want that object or that situation. But the inside momentum that you have is not going to stop. When you play a violin, right? Violin, in the beginning you make efforts. You are playing in front of a concert. I want to make sure I have the best performance today, this and that. But after 10-15 minutes, you are so much into it, the violin is playing by itself. The violin doesn't stop. You will never stop. The momentum, the fact that we are born, the vasanas will be still there. We will be still keep going. But at that time, you will not be playing. Paramatma will be playing through you. The consciousness will flow through you. And when those desires come, it will be a pleasurable thing. It will not be your creation, your ego's creation. It will be the creation of Paramatma. So, when you stop having desires for external situations or objects or anything, your activity in life will never stop. In fact, you may actually do more activity, but you will be doing with detachment, because you will not be attached with the results of it.
Now, but you say desire for samadhi or something, it is still chahat.
Yeah.
Right?
Chahat,
So, yeah.
But at that time, your activity itself will become chahat.
Okay, I'm trying to understand, okay.
You have to come to more lectures.
That shows staying with me is not enough. Coming to lectures.
No, but at home he doesn't talk. You're like,
See, he knows when to
I
talk.
want you to come
no,
here,
no, no.
that's
He
why.
knows when to talk and when to shut up.
If I didn't learn, I'll be wasting the spirituality, right? I know where.
at home he doesn't have time to talk.
No, no. He knows when to shut up.
Oh, okay.
So, no, that is a very important question.
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
The thing is that when you have a chahat and a desire, and it is a generated desire and the chahat, the ego is playing the role. The ego is still alive. The mind wants it. But it's not the mind that we want it to. When the mind is dissolved, the activity will go through, Paramatma will flow through you. We were just talking about it this morning. Atul Bhai, he says, performed a procedure. Yesterday it took him 3, 4, 5 hours. It's a new procedure. The enjoyment of doing the procedure, helping the patient and learning something new, you get dissolved so much, you don't care about reimbursement, whether it's really worth doing the procedure or not. It's in you. It's real you that is flowing. And that's exactly what we were talking about this morning. And your desire to be better and better of what you are will continue. And then the fruits of the action will not be important, but it will flow through you. That's what, a lot of people ask me the same thing, same question. He says, don't you get tired of seeing so many patients, 40, 50 patients every day? I said, no, I don't. And I said, I literally caress my patients. Whether it's a 10-year-old little girl or 84-year-old great grandma, I look at them. In my mind, I'm caressing them. I just love them. Why it's not a burden. Rajneesh gives an example of one Tibetan girl is carrying her brother,
Yeah.
and there is a Swami carrying another load, and they're talking to each other. Swami says, oh, we're both carrying the load. So the girl got offended. He says, who are you calling a load? This is my brother. It's not a load. So it's a different way of looking at life. You will be doing exactly the same thing that you're doing now,
Yeah.
but you will be doing with a different angle.
Different attitude.
So, so once we develop the samta, what happens is that the mind becomes steady. And then we start seeing the reflection of the sun, or the moon, as not as a reflection and not the reality. That's when we have once we realize the unsteadiness of the world, that's when we will want the steadiness. But samta is a platform. And samta will take us there. It's like a launching pad. Because that's why yam, niyam, samadhis, all these things, all the way to the samadhi level, samta has to be adi. Samta adi. Adi means the buddhi. When the buddhi remains in an intellect, remains in a balanced state, so all the way to the samadhi level, you will need samta. Samta is the balanced mind, right? So when you are not affected by the conditioning of the outside world, and that's when you not affected by the past or the future, but you're in a steady state. So now, when you are dealing with the world, how do you deal with them though? Once you are in samta, how your behavior will be different than somebody who is not in samta. At the samta level, you have no desire to take anything from them. Whenever you are interacting with anyone, you don't want anything from anyone because you are happy with what you have. Any interaction, if at all you want to give them something, if you have anything to give. If not, nothing but a smile or a little affection, little understanding of their potential situation, whatever they may be going through, at least some understanding. But I don't want anything because I'm happy with whatever I have. And not any money more than you deserve or any money more than they can afford. So there is no struggle. So any interaction with anybody at a commercial level, there is no struggle. Whatever you can, you give. Whatever you cannot, that's fine too. Because I'm happy with what I have. So there is no constant struggle. At the end of the day, your mind is not tired. Because you did everything you could, you made whatever you could, and that's the end of that. So there is no pulling sensation at the mind level. Same thing, whether it is material or non-material, you don't want anything from anyone. A beautiful girl passes by. You don't have to look at with the corners of your eyes because you're stealing something. You're desiring something that you're not happy with. That whatever you have, you're not happy, so you're trying to steal.
You could be admiring.
Depends. If you're admiring.
Okay.
If you're admiring.
Yeah, exactly.
But then you won't be looking at the side of an angle, right? You'll be looking front and right.
Yeah.
So it all depends upon the angle of your outlook.
Okay.
So you don't have to look. It shows. It shows on the face of the kami people,
Okay.
right? Because they have have guilt inside.
Yeah, okay.
So they are looking at this angle, so nobody watches them and this and that and all that.
Okay.
So material or non-material possessions, you are happy with what you have. So you have no reason to grab anything from the world. Definitely not material, but even non-material aspects of life. You're not trying to steal any experiences that you never had, and that's something that you want, right? So being happy with what you have, that again brings you to samta. You don't want any respect or appreciation or fame or position from anybody. You create your own position, right? Once you are what you are, and whatever that takes you to, whatever level it takes you, you are happy with that. You don't want to step beyond that, and you want something from. You want respect from someone. They don't give you the respect, you're gonna get hurt. So again, because you were not happy for whatever you had. So again, living your steady state, these are the sufferings that people have to go through.
Yeah, I think even Osho, Rajni says,
right,
live the way you like never existed.
Right, exactly, yeah. You just pass through.
You pass through the life.
And once the consciousness shines through, if there is a true political leader in you, it will come out. It will naturally happen. But at that point, it will not matter whether you are trying to get something, then there is a problem. But if it flows through you and a political leader comes out of you, that's fine too. So that's why Vijay Bhai is saying, this is not, the happiness doesn't come after doing something. You're happy to begin with, so happily you do everything.
Happily, yeah.
But you don't do anything to be happy.
To be happy.
So that's where the problem is.
Yeah.
So in a typical life, people do anything
to get happy.
To become happy. Right?
Yeah.
They think that they will do this. That's why he created that situation. He asked, right? In one of the lectures, says, what situation made you happy in the past? So everybody says, oh, when my son was born. He says, when we bought the Dunkin' Donuts, when we did this, when we did that, we were happy. 10 seconds before that, signing that contract for Dunkin' Donuts, you were not happy. And now you're happy. Right? So you went through an X amount of scenario to be happy. So that's what happens in material worlds when you're going after the material objects or people or situations. You're not happy until then. But here the scenario is different. Being in a steady state, if you're happy, happily you do everything.
Happily, yeah.
And then whatever happens, it happens. You're not attached to the results. Things happen. So then even the process of going to that state, the whole journey is is enjoyable. And that's the subtle difference. So it's like when I say, when you row the boat and you look at the shore and he says, am I there yet? Am I there yet? Then you're looking at the shore. You're going to get tired of rowing the boat. But what if you enjoy rowing the boat? The enjoyment is right there. Your pleasure is right there. So have a pleasure all along is the subtle difference. That people who are going, the kami, or people who are desiring for the money, the wealth, the fame, is constantly running. And the running itself tires them out. And out of 10,000 objects that they wanted, they probably will get 10 of those. But 9,990 objects, they're still not there. So even after you got those 10 precious objects that you really struggled so hard, the happiness that you derived from that is going to be spoiled by one thing that you did not get. There's always going to be something. That's why
the example is Chatwa.
Right, yeah, exactly. So you're talking about a friend of ours, right? He's a good friend of Chatwal. He's the Bombay Palace. But they traveled in the same plane together from India when he had nothing, and now he's all the way over there, and I'm here, and he himself is doing good, but it's just not enough, So in all the avenues, you're always going to find somebody's better than you, somebody's firmer than you, somebody's taller than you, somebody's more smarter than you, somebody's more handsome than you. There's always a struggle. So even after you achieve that object, that all the work that you went through is meaningless, because then there's somebody else. Like Napoleon, I gave the example of Napoleon because he was 5'2". Then all his bodyguards were 6 feet tall. So one day he's trying to hang the picture, he could not do it. So his bodyguard says, let me do that, sir, I'm taller than you. No, you are not taller than me, you are longer than me. So he lived with that inferiority complex all his life. So that's what happens in material world. You cannot take, these are 10,000 directions. You can be an architect, you can be a doctor, you can be this, you can be that. You can be so many things, but you can be only one thing out of all those things. Because you devote so much energy to become what you become, but at the same time, you have no energy left to be something else. But then everybody wants to be. That's where the problem is. So even you may be the best doctor, you cannot be a good dancer. But then you go to the parties and you say, oh, you're not doing this.
Yeah.
Who cares, right? I mean, I'm not a dancer to begin with. If I can't dance, I can't dance. If I can't sing, I cannot sing. That's okay. But we cannot accept those situations because mind does not let you rest. Mind will never let you rest. It will always, because that's the only way it survives. It always finds out new avenues to make you go after. After you have achieved this, there is something more. After you achieve money, now you're looking for fame. Now you're looking for position. Now you're looking for this big takti, biggest stone in the back graveyard. All these things is then, oh, my children will be thinking about me, my names will be in the history books, this and that. It's all baloney. Enjoy doing what you're doing. The moment that is in front of you, that is the moment that's ever going to be present is now. If you live in the present, you don't care about the fame, you don't care about anything. Whatever flows through you, let it come out. And then whatever happens, it happens. Doesn't happen, it's fine too. Because I went into spirituality, right? Just let it come out, whatever happens. There was one lady, Maria, she had a TV show. And she wanted me to come. It was a community show, so she said, come and talk on it. And I said, okay, that's fine. And as I went in, there were like 8 or 10 people who were going to be giving talks on the same segment of the show itself. Somebody was talking about nutrition, somebody was talking about this, and I was going to be talking about spirituality and weight management and health control and things like that. And I did, I sat there all along, and we're like, everybody was continuously struggling for money. Because that was their whole object was how much you're going to make, so how much you're going to pass it on to us, because this and that and all that. So nobody's looking at me. And then Maria says, how about you, Doc? I said, I'm doing it for my own pleasure. I want this message to pass on to people, and that's all I care. So I have no problem. One way or other, I said, doesn't matter to me, right? So the whole show went in. It went in very nice, and it was really good. I enjoyed it. But the funny thing was that everybody was there for a purpose. They were not doing it out of their own thing.
Okay.
So whenever you do it out of your own, it's a different flair. People see the difference. People notice the difference. People, even if you try to fake it, you cannot. Even if you say, oh, I'm the biggest doctor or biggest this and biggest that, people are not going to believe. People are going to see the difference.
Yes.
People are not dumb. They are not stupid. They see the difference. Those subtle differences will come up. So Rajneesh gives an example of Mullah Nasruddin. He says he was dating a girl, right? Now he had very thick glasses. If you remove the glasses, he can't see anything. He says, so he goes to his eye doctor. He says, I don't want the girl to think that I'm almost blind, and he is. He says, I want to make an impression on the girl so that the girl doesn't say no to me, right? So the doctor thinks and thinks and thinks. He says, so Mullah Nasruddin, aisa karo ki do something that so makes her believe that you can see very well. So Rajni says that, they have a saying that andhe ko dur ki suji. He hardly can see here. He thought about the far distance. So what he did was, he put a soi, a needle, in a tree trunk. And then, in the middle of night, when the Chandni ki night, him and the girl were sitting there, and all of a sudden Mullah Nasruddin says, I see a needle there on the tree. Somebody must have left it. Let me go and pick it up. The girl says, I don't see anything. How do you see that? So he was trying to impress, right? So he says, wait, I'll go get it. As soon as he got it, he fell. Because there was a cow sitting right there. So a guy was sitting right there. He didn't even see the cow. He was trying to get so trying to show off does not work.
Yeah.
And there are so many people trying to show off in this world. It does not happen. When you let it flow through, that's the only thing that shows through. And if it is not there, don't blame. So they say there was another thing he said beautiful. It was the Aesop you know, the Aesop, famous Aesop had all these folklores for the children. He says there was a crow was flying to the east, and the quail was asking, he says, what is happening? Why are you flying to the east? He says that people don't appreciate my song over here. So I'm going to go to the east so they will appreciate. I'm hoping they will appreciate my song over there. So quail says, if you don't have the song, east or west, it doesn't matter. If it is not in you,
you're still going to do ka ka ka.
So the ka is not going to attract any. आपके song ही इतने अनूठे हैं. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you go. If you don't have the song in the heart, so Rajneesh says, आपके दिल में जो song नहीं है, तो माहौल को बदनाम मत करो. So don't blame that there is a fall out there. That's why it doesn't look good. If it is not in you, it's not going to happen. So don't blame the instruments, don't blame the people, don't blame this. It's just not there. That's all. So focus more inside. And if you want to change yourself or make yourself better, to go within and within and within. That's where all the ras will come out. So they have a beautiful word for the God. I think they say ras something, ras